बिस्मिल्लाहिर्रहमानिर्रहीम। दोस्तों, कल हमने जो इनर वर्किंग का प्रैक्टिस सेशन 1 किया था, आज इनर वर्किंग का प्रैक्टिस सेशन 2 है। और कल जो है वो योगा सूत्रा के बारे में, कोशास के बारे में बात की थी। हमारे जो बॉडी की 5 लेयर्स हैं उसके बारे में बात हुई थी। आज जो है वो जो 8 लिम्स ऑफ योगा है उसके बारे में बात होगी। तो इस सेशन को प्लीज़ सुनिएगा। स्लो मूवमेंट में सेशन है और हमारी जो इनर वर्किंग्स हैं उनको स्ट्रांग करने के लिए, इन मसल्स, कोर मसल्स को स्ट्रांग करने के लिए प्रैक्टिस है ये। तो आई होप कि आप इसको एंजॉय करेंगे। इसको प्लीज़ मेरे साथ कल का सेशन है उसको बार बार दोबारा से आपको प्रैक्टिस करनी पड़ेगी सीखने के लिए। और जो आज का सेशन है इसको भी करके तो आप इसको बेहतर तरीके से समझ पाएंगे और आप इसको जान भी पाएंगे इंशाल्लाह ताला। कोई क्वेश्चन हो तो आप मेरे से सेपरेटली डिस्कस कर सकते हैं और लेट्स मेरे साथ रहिएगा प्लीज़। तो स्टार्ट करते हैं सेशन। बिस्मिल्लाहिर्रहमानिर्रहीम।
To the inner workings of practice, part 2.
Part 2.
In this part of chapter 2 of the Yoga Sutras, Patanjali talks about the 8 limbs of yoga. If you've ever done a yoga teacher training or studied the basics of yoga history and philosophy, chances are you've heard of the 8 limbs. But even if you haven't, that's okay, because we're going to talk about them now. Okay, so the 8 limbs are considered to be the components of what's known as classical yoga. That is, yoga as it was originally conceived. It's worth knowing that in the Upanishads, there were 6 limbs of yoga laid out, but they didn't mention the posture practice, nor did they mention the yamas or the niyamas, which are sort of the cornerstones of yogic philosophy, which we're going to talk about in a second. For now, go ahead and come up to stand, Tadasana, at the top of your mat, and just take a moment, let your eyes close. Bring your attention to your breath.
Tadasana की प्रैक्टिस में आइएगा प्लीज, आंखें बंद कर पड़ेगा।
Just feel the ground beneath you.
Pray pose.
And feel the heavens above you. And feel yourself. A human animal. Blessed and burdened with a unique consciousness. As Mr. Iyengar says, this practice is here to help us reconcile the paradox of how to make our way upon the earth while striving for something more permanent and more profound. Just listen to your breath. This practice is going to be similar to the last practice. There'll be slight variations, but very similar. And if you've practiced with me before, you know I like to mix things up. You know I like to have fun. However, when it comes to stilling the vrittis, it's hard to beat mindful repetition. So that's what this practice is about. Doing something familiar, a little bit different, with the same intention.
This teacher ka naam Brent hai.
Just keep listening to your breath.
Brent is very popular.
As I very quickly take you through the 8 limbs of yoga. The first one, yama, ethical disciplines.
The
second one, niyama, personal disciplines. The third one, asana, posture practice. The fourth one, pranayama, breath exercises, also known as breath restraint or expansion of consciousness. The fifth limb, pratyahara, withdrawal of the senses. The sixth limb, dharana, concentration. The seventh limb, dhyana, meditation. And the eighth limb, samadhi, which you may remember from our practice on the first chapter, is the goal of yoga, freedom, oneness with an object of meditation. Now, even though Patanjali mentions all 8 limbs of yoga in this second half of chapter 2, he only talks about 5 of them in any detail, and he focuses mostly on the first 2, yama and niyama, as I mentioned a second ago, the cornerstones of yogic philosophy. Take a big deep breath all the way in. Open up your mouth and exhale, let that breath go. And as you inhale, sweep your arms all the way up. And as you exhale, fold all the way forward.
Forward fold.
Inhale, lengthen your spine. Exhale, step into a plank pose. Take a big deep breath all the way in. And as you exhale, lower gently all the way down onto the ground. Inhale to a baby cobra, lift your shoulders, lift your chest. And exhale, lower back down. Tuck your toes, plant your palms, inhale up to a plank. And before you come back to downward facing dog, the first yama, the first ethical discipline, the golden rule of yoga, ahimsa, non-violence, doing as little harm as possible. Jörg Feuerstein once told a story about how people often ask him how long he's been practicing yoga, and he says 30 years. And they say, well, you must be very advanced on your practice. And he said, after 30 years, I am still struggling every day to master the first principle of the practice. Come back to downward facing dog. Okay, listen to your breath. Think about this idea of nonviolence, ahimsa. On some level, it's as simple as not doing any harm to yourself in your physical practice, not overdoing it to the point where you injure yourself. On another level, it's about not doing harm to yourself when you're off your mat, in terms of your personal habits. And of course, on a deeper level, it's about not doing any harm to anyone or anything else, which is a very difficult thing to abide by, because as the Jain religion tells us, every time we take a breath, we kill billions of microorganisms. So we all have to make our own peace with this idea of ahimsa. To what degree are we going to practice it or not? And we have to be honest with ourselves about how we're practicing ahimsa and whether or not it's serving us in our practice. This is so essential, okay? And we have to be very careful at the same time not to judge other people in their practice of ahimsa. It's personal. Okay. With an inhale, lift your heels, bend your knees and look forward. Exhale, step or lightly jump your feet up to the front. Inhale, lengthen your spine. Exhale, fold all the way down. Inhale, sweep all the way up, bring your palms together as you reach up. And exhale, let your hands come down by your sides. Good. With an inhale, sweep your arms all the way up, reach as high as you can. Exhale, fold all the way forward, empty your breath out. Inhale, lengthen your spine. Exhale, step back to a plank pose and gently lower all the way down onto your belly. Inhale, baby cobra, roll your shoulders back and lift your chest. And exhale, lower back down. And then inhale up to a cobra pose. Roll your shoulders back, press down through your hands. And exhale, lower all the way down. And inhale up to a plank pose. The second yama, the second ethical discipline, satya, truthfulness, in both word and action. So what does that mean? Obviously, it means to be honest when you speak. But what does it mean in action? On some level, it means to make sure that our actions are in alignment with our value system. If we believe in integrity, then it means making sure that what we're doing is holding us to our word, that we're not compromising our values in order for some kind of short-term gain. Because inevitably, this is going to cause some kind of internal suffering, and this is what we're trying to move away from through the practice. Exhale, downward facing dog. Listen to your breath. Soften your jaw. Press out of your shoulders. Feel your sit bones lifting, heels reaching down. And then with an inhale, lift your heels, bend your knees and look forward. Exhale, step or lightly jump up to the front. Inhale, lengthen your spine. Exhale, fold all the way down. And inhale, sweep all the way up. Bring your palms together. And exhale, let your hands come down by your sides. Again, inhale, sweep it all the way up. Strengthen your legs. Exhale, fold all the way down. Inhale, lengthen your spine. Exhale, step into a plank pose. Lower all the way down onto your belly. And again, inhale into cobra pose and possibly press it into upward facing dog from there if that feels right for your body right now. And as you exhale, lower gently all the way back down onto your belly. I realize this is a little different way of going through a sun salutation. Inhale up to a plank pose and breathe. The third yama, the third ethical discipline, asteya. It means non-stealing. But on a deeper level, what it means is not taking more than is appropriate. And this can have to do with simple financial matters or things that don't belong to you. It can have to do with other elements of your life. And it relates to this sense that most of us as human beings have, where we are, as Georg Feuerstein says, hankering for more. Take another deep breath in. And exhale, downward facing dog. In the practice on the first chapter, we talked about vairagya, this idea of non-attachment. Not necessarily to the desires that we have, but to the influence of the desires. And this yama, asteya, relates to that very much. Because most of us, we want to be safe, we want to be secure in this world. We want to know that we can be taken care of if hard times come. So we want to have enough money, we want to have a nice enough and comfortable enough home. We want to have a good relationship. So it really requires a lot of awareness to make sure that we're not basing our peace of mind on our ability to have those things or not. We're feeling content in ourselves just by knowing that we have what we've worked hard for. With an inhale, lift your heels, bend your knees and look forward. Exhale, step or lightly jump up to the front. Inhale, lengthen your spine. Exhale, fold all the way down. Inhale, sweep all the way up, bring your palms together as you reach up. And exhale, let your hands come down by your sides. Inhale, sweep all the way up. Exhale, fold all the way forward. Good, inhale, lengthen your spine. Exhale, step into a plank pose. And again, lower gently all the way down onto your belly. Inhale to cobra pose or upward facing dog if you prefer. And exhale, lower back down, tuck your toes and inhale up to a plank pose. And breathe. The fourth yama, the fourth ethical discipline, brahmacharya. This is one of my favorites. Often translated as celibacy. But most of the great teachers will tell us that that's not quite what it's about. What it's about is not misusing your creative energies. And there's a whole lecture that I could give on this, and maybe you want to stay in plank all day and listen to it, but probably not. So I'm going to give you the synopsis. The idea is this. Sexual energy, on some level, is creative energy. It's what allows new life to be created. We also have creative energy that allows us to create works of art, businesses, families, all of these things. We build our dreams. This is all the same energy. And brahmacharya is encouraging us to pay attention to how we're using this energy, not giving up on our dreams, not going after the cheap thrill when there's harder work that could be done that might produce something longer lasting and more meaningful. Take another deep breath in. Exhale back to downward facing dog. Listen to your breath. And like we've been doing throughout this whole series of practices so far, notice the way the practice is influencing your mental activity in this moment. Maybe this information is something you've heard before. Maybe it's brand new to you. Maybe it's bringing things up that you haven't thought about. Maybe it's confronting you in some way. Try to stay connected to the part of yourself that is just the awareness of the experience you're having. And use that ability that you have to direct your attention to that place to figure out how to see clearly how to move forward in the best way possible. Sometimes we can have a little bit of a feeling of dread or a crisis when we realize there's something about the way we're operating in our life that we need to change. But that awareness is the first step towards changing. And so if you want, you have the ability to direct your attention towards seeing that as a positive, rather than letting it be something that causes you anxiety or guilt or shame or disappointment of some sort. With an inhale, lift your heels, bend your knees and look forward. Exhale, step or lightly jump up to the front. Good. Inhale, lengthen your spine. Exhale, fold all the way down. Inhale, sweep all the way up. Bring your palms together as you reach up. And exhale, let your hands come down by your sides. One more yama. Inhale, sweep all the way up. Exhale, fold all the way forward. Inhale, lengthen your spine. Exhale, step into a plank pose and lower gently all the way down to the ground. Inhale, cobra pose into upward facing dog if you like. And exhale, bring it all the way back down. Good, tuck your toes. Inhale up to a plank. And exhale back to downward facing dog. The last yama, aparigraha, which also translates similar to what vairagya is in terms of non-attachment. And what it's trying to help us do is overcome the tendency to clutter our lives with unnecessary things. Just listen to your breath. Feel your sit bones lifting, heels pressing down. And keep it simple. Breath and attention to the sensations that you're feeling in your body. And with an inhale, lift your heels, bend your knees and look forward. Exhale, step or lightly jump up to the front. Inhale, lengthen your spine. Exhale, fold all the way forward. Inhale, sweep all the way up, bring your palms together as you reach up. Good, and exhale, let your hands come down by your sides. With an inhale, chair pose, sink your hips, reach your arms up. Exhale, fold all the way forward. Good, inhale, lengthen your spine. Exhale, step into a plank pose. Now this time, stay on the balls of your feet, keep your arms straight, and just let your hips sink down into a high arch. Take a big deep breath here, look up towards the sky. Exhale to chaturanga, bend your elbows, and inhale, press up to a plank, and exhale, downward facing dog. Step your right foot through your hands, turn your back heel down. Inhale, come up to warrior one. And exhale, gracefully let your hands come back down. Step back to a plank. Sink your hips, roll your shoulders back. Keep your legs and glutes strong. Exhale, chaturanga. Inhale up to a plank. Exhale, downward dog. Left foot forward, back heel turns down. Inhale, rise up to warrior one. And exhale, let your hands come down. Step back to a plank. Sink your hips, roll your shoulders back. Deep breath. Exhale to chaturanga. Now, inhale to a plank and breathe. The niyamas, the personal disciplines, meant to help harmonize our relationship with ourself. The yamas, I should say, are meant to help harmonize our relationships with the outside world and other people. Niyamas meant to help harmonize our relationship with ourselves. And the first niyama is saucha, which is a word that means purity or cleanliness. And it's talking about both the purity and cleanliness of our personal space, keeping our living space clean, keeping our automobile clean, keeping our workspace clean, but also and mostly keeping our minds clean. Swami Shivananda used to talk about how the mind is like a garden that has both flowers and fruit trees as well as weeds. And the practice of saucha is the practice of weeding out the weeds, the things that will choke out the flowers and the fruit trees if we let them run amok. Take another deep breath. What's happening with those hips, Albert? Lift them up a little bit there, buddy. There we go. Exhale, downward facing dog. You guys at home don't know, Albert's been training for this practice for months. He's been very nervous. He's a good sport about being here, and I'm proud of him. Take another big, deep breath all the way in. Exhale, let that breath go. Okay. With an inhale, lift your heels, bend your knees and look forward. Exhale, step. Step or lightly jump up to the front. Inhale,
stop the music.
Exhale, fold it all the way down. Inhale, chair pose. Exhale, come all the way up to stand. Let your hands come down by your sides. Good. Again, inhale, chair pose. Sink your hips. Listen to your breath. Exhale, fold all the way forward. Again, this is mindful repetition. Inhale, lengthen your spine. Exhale, step back to a plank pose. And again, high arch. Sink your hips. Roll your shoulders back. Deep breath in. Exhale to chaturanga. Bend your elbows. Inhale up to a plank. Exhale back to downward facing dog. Right foot forward, back heel turns down. Inhale, come up to warrior one. And exhale, let your hands come down. Step back to a plank pose. Sink your hips, roll your shoulders back and lift your chest. Deep breath in. Exhale, chaturanga. Good. Inhale up to a plank. Exhale, downward facing dog. Left foot forward, back heel turns down. Inhale, rise up to warrior one. Exhale, let your hands come down. Step back to a plank. Sink your hips, roll your shoulders back and lift your chest. Deep breath in. Good. Exhale, chaturanga. And then inhale up to a plank pose. Now breathe. Okay. Notice the effect that this is having because you know what's coming now. We have 4 more niyamas to talk about. What are the vrittis in your mind doing? Can you keep your attention with that source of perception rather than getting caught up in what you're perceiving? The second niyama, santosha, contentment. Just being at peace, making a practice of saying, you know what, I'm good. Doesn't mean that you don't have aspirations. Doesn't mean that you don't have dreams. Doesn't mean that you just love everything exactly the way that it is. It means that you're content with the effort that you're putting out into the world to be who you are and to express your gifts in the best way that you can. Take a deep breath in. Exhale, downward facing dog. When you're in the midst of a difficult circumstance, where does santosha come into your practice? When you're on the mat and you're moving through these sun salutations, and you're holding certain poses a little bit longer than you're accustomed to, and some muscles are saying, oh man, I don't know how we're going to get through this. And your brain is starting to move a little quicker towards escape. Can you just come back to that practice of saying, you know what, I'm doing the best I can, and that's enough. If I need to put my knees down, that's the way it is, and that's got to be okay. Can I be okay with that? With an inhale, lift your heels, bend your knees, look forward, exhale, step it lightly, jump up to the front. Inhale, lengthen your spine. Exhale, fold it all the way down. Good, inhale, chair pose. Exhale, come up to stand, let your hands come down by your sides. Again, inhale, chair pose, sink your hips, reach your arms in. Exhale, fold all the way forward. Inhale, lengthen your spine. Exhale, step into a plank pose, sink your hips, roll your shoulders back and lift your chest. Take a big deep breath in. Exhale to chaturanga and inhale up to a plank. Exhale, downward facing dog. Right foot steps forward, back heel turns down. Inhale, rise up to warrior one. Exhale, let your hands come down. Step back to a plank. Sink your hips, roll your shoulders back. Deep breath. Exhale, chaturanga. Inhale to plank. And hold plank. I almost got ahead of myself. Took you right back to downward facing dog. Could you feel that? Could you feel the anticipation saying, oh, good, we're going to skip plank this time? No, we're here. We're here to learn. We're here to grow. It's all here for your growth and development. Train your awareness to think that way and you will have nothing but peace. Sometimes these little happy accidents are nice blessings. The third niyama, tapas. Okay, this is the fervent striving that Patanjali talks about at the beginning of this chapter, but it holds its own place in the niyamas as a separate discipline. Tapas means fire or heat, like I talked about at the beginning of the last practice, the fiery quality of the will, which illumines and gives light to our connection with the soul. Can you stay disciplined in your practice? Or when your friends call you up and say, hey, let's go out and go dancing or clubbing or get some drinks and do whatever, and you know that's going to ruin your practice the next morning, do you have the discipline to say, you know what, I got something to do tomorrow morning. I need to stay in. That's just one example of a million. Press back to downward facing dog. Can you stay committed to this process of growth? If you have plants, let's say, or children, you need to take care of them every day. You don't just get to let them do their own thing when they need to be fed, when they need to be bathed, when they need nurturing and mentorship. Right? It's the same with your own practice. This tapas is this discipline that's required to stay with something every day in some form or another. It doesn't mean you need to kill yourself and take your body to extremes where you're injuring yourself. It just means you need to show up, as Charles Johnston says, with this effort to stand in spiritual being, to separate the Purusha from the Prakriti. And with an inhale, lift your heels, bend your knees and look forward. Exhale, step or lightly jump up to the front. Inhale, lengthen your spine. Exhale, fold all the way down. Inhale, chair pose. Exhale, come up to stand. Let your hands come down by your sides. With an inhale, chair pose. Exhale, fold all the way forward. Inhale, lengthen your spine. Exhale, step back through a plank pose. Sink your hips, roll your shoulders back, lift your chest. Stay with it. Deep breath in. Exhale, chaturanga. Good. Inhale up to a plank. Exhale, downward facing dog. Right foot forward, back heel turns down. Inhale, rise up to warrior one. Exhale, let your hands come down. Step back to a plank. Sink your hips, roll your shoulders back and lift your chest. Deep breath in. Exhale, chaturanga. Inhale up to a plank. Exhale, back to downward facing dog. Left foot forward, back heel turns down. Inhale, rise up to warrior one. Good. Exhale, hands come down. Step back to a plank. Sink your hips, roll your shoulders back and lift your chest. Deep breath in. Exhale, chaturanga. Inhale up to a plank and breathe. The fourth niyama, svadhyaya, another of the third elements that Patanjali talked about at the beginning of chapter 2, where he says fiery quality of the will, self-study. That's what this fourth niyama is all about. Paying attention to what you're doing, how you're doing it. Referencing spiritual texts, referencing teachers or trusted advisors who can give you a reflection of things that you may not be able to see for yourself. Take a deep breath. Exhale, downward facing dog. Breathe. Let that sink in. Feel your ribcage expanding as you inhale. Feel it contracting as you exhale. Again, keep noticing the influence that what you're perceiving is having on the activity of your mind. And with an inhale, lift your heels, bend your knees and look forward. Exhale, step or lightly jump up to the front. Inhale, lengthen your spine. Exhale, fold all the way down. Inhale to a chair pose. And exhale, come up to stand, let your hands come down by your sides. Now, before we do the last one, you guys remember one of the key ingredients to practicing yoga successfully. Enthusiasm, right? Are you guys excited to do this last sun salutation? You're probably a little sad that it's the last one, right? I understand. Okay, but we're going to get through this together. With an inhale, chair pose. Exhale, fold all the way forward. Inhale, lengthen your spine. Exhale, step into a plank pose. Sink your hips, roll your shoulders back and lift your chest. Feel into your body. Exhale, chaturanga. Inhale up to a plank. Exhale, downward facing dog. Right foot steps forward, back heel turns down. Inhale, rise up to warrior one. Exhale, let your hands come down. Step back to a plank pose. Sink your hips, roll your shoulders back and lift your chest. Deep breath in. Exhale to chaturanga. Good. Inhale up to a plank. Exhale, downward dog. Left foot forward, back heel turns down. Inhale, rise up to warrior one. Exhale, release your hands down. Step back to a plank. Sink your hips and roll your shoulders back. Deep breath in. Exhale, chaturanga. And inhale to plank. And the last of the niyamas, we've talked about it before. Patanjali pays so much attention to it. Ishvara pranidhana, surrendering, whether you believe it's to God, whether you believe it's to the cause of creation, or whether you believe it's to forces that are beyond our control and understanding, just accepting life. This is one of the key ingredients to being able to be at peace within yourself, taking responsibility for the decisions we've made and their consequences, and using it all to learn and grow and move forward in as positive a direction as possible. Downward facing dog. Listen to your breath. And with an inhale, lift your heels, bend your knees and look forward. Exhale, step or lightly jump up to the front. Inhale, lengthen your spine. Exhale, fold all the way down. Inhale to a chair pose. And exhale, come up to stand. Let your hands come down by your sides. And for a moment, just close your eyes. Let your hands hang by your sides. So those are the yamas and the niyamas. 5 yamas, 5 niyamas. First 2 limbs of the 8-limb path of yoga. The third limb is asana, the posture practice. And as Desikachar says, asana must be practiced not only in a way that is both steady and sweet, but that also contains a benevolence of spirit. Think about that. Going through your posture practice with a benevolence of spirit. So my goal for the rest of this practice, which won't be too long, but hopefully it will be enough, is to imprint these yamas and niyamas on your soul so that when you go to bed tonight, you're going to be dreaming of the yamas and the niyamas. This is what I want. I want you to wake up in the middle of the night and think, ahimsa, yes. Ishvara pranidhana, got it. Okay. Are you guys excited? Beautiful. With an inhale, sweep your arms all the way up in the air. Exhale, fold all the way forward. Inhale, lengthen your spine. Exhale, step into a plank pose. toes. Lower halfway down. Inhale, roll into upward dog or cobra. Exhale, back to downward facing dog. With an inhale, raise your right leg all the way up in the air. Exhale, bring your right knee to your right arm. Now take a big deep breath in. Let that breath go, and you can say them to yourself. You can say them with me. Inhale, lower down. That's ahimsa. Exhale, lift it back up. Inhale, lower down. That's satya. Exhale, lift it back up. Inhale, lower down. That's asteya. Exhale, lift it back up. Inhale, lower down. That's brahmacharya. Exhale, lift it back up. Inhale, lower down. That's aparigraha. Exhale, lift it back up. And inhale, raise that leg all the way up in the air. Now, exhale, bring your knee to your left arm. Inhale, slide it down. That's saucha. Exhale, lift it back up. Inhale, slide it down. That's santosha, contentment. Lift it back up. Inhale, slide it down. That's tapas. Exhale, lift it back up. Inhale, slide it down. That's svadhyaya. Exhale, lift it back up. Inhale, slide it down. That's ishvara pranidhana. Exhale, lift it back up. And inhale, raise that leg all the way up in the air. And exhale, step your right foot through your hands. Nice work, you guys. Drop your left knee down. Point your left toes. Inhale, reach your arms up into Anjaneyasana. Look up towards your hands and breathe. Okay, sink your hips down. Remember, this is about mindful repetition. Take another deep breath in. And exhale, release your hands down and step right back to downward facing dog. Take a deep breath. Exhale, let it go. Inhale, left leg all the way up in the air. Exhale, left knee to your left arm. Okay, hold it there. Take a deep breath in. Stay there as you exhale. Now, inhale, slide it down. That's non-violence. Exhale, lift it up. Inhale, slide it down. That's truthfulness. Exhale, lift it back up. Inhale, slide it down. That's non-stealing. Exhale, lift it back up. Inhale, slide it down. That's brahmacharya, creative control. Inhale, slide it down. That is aparigraha, non-attachment. Exhale, lift it back up. And inhale, raise that leg all the way back up in the air. Good, you guys. Exhale, left knee to your right arm. Hold it there. Inhale, slide it down. That's cleanliness or purity. Exhale, lift it back up. Inhale, slide it down. That's contentment. Exhale, lift it back up. Inhale, slide it down. That's tapas, discipline. Exhale, lift it back up. Good. Inhale, slide it down. That's svadhyaya, self-study. Exhale, lift it back up. One more time. Inhale, slide it down. That's ishvara pranidhana, surrender to what you can't control. Exhale, lift it back up. Inhale, raise it up and back. Wow, we got a little sloppy on that last one. Exhale, step the foot through your hands. Drop your right knee gently down. Point your toes. Inhale, reach your arms all the way up in the air. Breathe. You guys are doing amazing. Stay with it. These are simple movements, but it's not easy. Okay, and again, we need that fervent striving, that fiery quality of the will that's moving us towards being able to find peace within ourselves, to move through our habit patterns that hold us back, and whatever obstacles stand in the way. Take another breath. Exhale, let your hands come down, and step right back to downward facing dog. Breathe. You guys are doing amazing. So Mr. Iyengar says that when we practice asana properly, it helps us overcome the effect of dualities, good and bad, hot and cold, right and wrong. These are the things that pull on our emotions. When we experience life, we tend to get caught up in the effect of how we perceive things. And Mr. Iyengar is talking about how when we practice yoga, what we're really trying to do with these postures is build evenness of awareness. Inhale, come forward to a plank pose. Bring your feet together. And as you exhale, roll to the right. Raise your left arm up in the air. Vashisthasana. Here we are. Ahimsa, non-violence, first position. Good. Take a big deep breath. And as you exhale, turn your left hand forward, reach it out. Good. Step your left foot behind you. Second position. Satya, truthfulness. Can you lift your hips any higher? Can you lean back a little further? Can you press out of that right shoulder? Good. Take another deep breath. Exhale, back to your side plank. Third position. That's asteya, non-stealing. Strengthen your thighs. Look up at your left hand if you can. Now, take a big deep breath all the way in. And as you exhale, bend your left knee up to your chest. Step your left foot up to the front of your mat. Spin to the ball of your back foot. Inhale, come up to a crescent pose. That's brahmacharya, your fourth position. proper use of your creative energies. And as you exhale, take your hands behind your back, interlace your fingers, lean back and lift your chest. Exhale, start to lean your heart forward, coming to warrior 3. This is your 5th position, aparigraha. Breathe. Strengthen that right leg. And then maybe reach your arms all the way forward. Find your breath. Find that steadiness. Mindful repetition. You've been here before. It's an opportunity to notice what you're doing, how you're doing it. Can you bring awareness to every cell in your body? Take another deep breath in. Exhale, bend your left knee, step your right foot back, crescent pose. Take a big deep breath in. And exhale, release your hands down to the floor. Step back through a plank pose. Feet together, roll to the left. Raise your right arm up in the air. Okay, this is saucha. Purity, cleanliness, getting rid of the weeds in our minds. Push out of that left shoulder. Good. And then turn the right hand forward. Reach it out. Step your right foot behind you. This is santosha, contentment. Can you be at peace regardless of what's going on? Take a deep breath. Exhale, back to your side plank. This is tapas, the discipline, the repetition required to build skills, to build knowledge. Take a deep breath. Bend your right knee up to your chest. Step that foot to the front of your mat. Spin to the ball of your back foot. Inhale to crescent pose. This is svadhyaya, self-study. What effect is what you're doing having on you inside? Take another breath. Exhale, hands behind your back. Interlace your fingers. Lean back and lift your chest. Exhale, lean forward, coming to warrior 3. This is Ishvara Pranidhana, surrendering to forces beyond our control. Point those left toes. Lift that leg. Good. If you want to reach your arms forward, extend them all the way out. Feel your belly drawing in towards your spine. Keep that breath steady and rhythmic. Can you lift that left leg another millimeter? Is there satya there, some truthfulness? Can you do it without harming? Take another deep breath. Can you do it with contentment? Exhale, bend your right knee, step your left foot back, crescent pose, deep breath in. Exhale, let your hands come down to the front of your mat. Okay, step back through a plank pose and gently lower all the way down onto your belly. Inhale to a cobra pose, roll your shoulders back and lift your chest. And exhale, press into a child's pose. Push your hips back. Just take a moment, let your hips rock a little bit side to side. Listen to your breath. So we've covered yama, niyama, and asana, the first 3 limbs of the 8-limb path. The 4th limb is pranayama, breath exercises or expansion of consciousness. 5th limb, the last one that Patanjali talks about in this second half of the 2nd chapter of the Yoga Sutras, is pratyahara, the withdrawal of the senses. So for the last few minutes of this practice, all we're going to do is come up to a comfortable seated position. You can roll over your shins or drop your hips to one side. Just cross your ankles. The backs of your wrists rest on your knees. Let your eyes close. Just soften your jaw. Soften the muscles around your eyes. And as you bring your attention to your breath, just notice the sound. Notice the feeling of the movement of your breath. And start to steady it. And as you bring your attention to your breath, notice any other senses that you're experiencing at the moment. Your eyes are closed, so you shouldn't be seeing anything but darkness. But you may be smelling things, you may be feeling the temperature of the air, feeling the weight of your body against the floor, you may be hearing sounds around you. Consciously try to take your attention inward so that as much as possible, you're freeing yourself from the effect of your senses, the distracting effect, that is. Go ahead and let your breath go all the way out. And then breathe in for a count of 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. And breathe out for a count of 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. And breathe in for 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. And breathe out for 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. One more time together. Breathe in for 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. And breathe out for 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Continue that on your own. And as you do this, little by little, start to let the count drop away and just focus on the feeling. The feeling of breath moving all the way in. Feeling of breath moving all the way out. All you're trying to do is immerse your awareness in the movement of your breath. And maybe, as you continue to breathe, you can bring your attention to deeper layers of awareness. You can bring your attention to the temperature of your breath as it moves in through the tips of your nostrils, versus the temperature of your breath as it moves back out through your nostrils. Immersing yourself in the reality of what's happening every time you breathe, which we don't typically think about from moment to moment as we breathe all day, every day throughout the course of our lives. There's an incredible, really miraculous process going on inside of us, where we're bringing in nourishment from the atmosphere around us, letting it enter our bodies through our lungs into our bloodstream by the pumping of our heart without having to think about any of it, and then sending the waste products of our breathing process back out into the environment around us, where the environment then uses those waste products for its own nourishment. And in this way, we begin to see ourselves as not separate from our environment, but an integral part of it, one with it. It is this ability to perceive ourselves as not separate from everything around us that lies at the heart of our ability to find peace within ourselves. And this is the practice of yoga as Patanjali has laid it out in the Yoga Sutras, learning to recognize everything that we perceive as something that is there to be able to help us grow, to help us learn, to serve us, whether it's something that's comfortable or painful or something that's amazingly, ecstatically joyful. Learning to be able to see it all with equanimity and use it as fuel for our growth, the same way we use the air from the atmosphere as fuel for our cells. So please take as much time as you need to sit with everything that I've shared with you in this practice. And when you feel like you're ready to move on, I'll meet you in the next practice. Thank you and namaste.
सर दोस्तों, ये था सेशन आज का, जो है हमने योगा सूत्रा का जो 8 लिम्स के बारे में, और योगा सूत्रा के चैप्टर नंबर 2 उसमें 5 लिम्स के बारे में बात करते हैं, जो हमने किया यामास, न्यामास और आसना, प्राणायामा और प्रत्याहार। तो ये 5 लिम्स के बारे में हमने इंफॉर्मेशन सुनी। और यामास जो है बेसिकली आपका एक्सटर्नल वर्ल्ड के साथ जो रिलेशनशिप है उसके बारे में है, और न्यामाज जो है वो आपका पर्सनल जो इनवर्ट बॉडी है उसके साथ अलग है। तो इसके 5 हिस्से हैं, 5 हिस्सों को बड़े उसने अच्छे तरीके से जब हमने ये प्लैंक पोज में लेग की मूवमेंट के साथ पांचों उसने रिपीट किए 2 दफा सांस लेने के साथ, वो आपको सीखने का एक अंदाज़ है। तो आई होप कि ये सेशन आपको अच्छा लगा होगा। इसकी प्लीज़ प्रैक्टिस कीजिएगा, प्रैक्टिस आप सीखेंगे और देखें आप हमारे जो दोनों इनर जो कोर मसल्स हैं उनको स्ट्रांग करने के लिए बहुत अच्छा ये सेशन था कल का और आज का। इसकी ज़रूर प्रैक्टिस कीजिएगा। कोई क्वेश्चन हो तो प्लीज़ पूछिएगा और अपना ख्याल रखिएगा। हमारी इंशाल्लाह मुलाकात होगी नेक्स्ट वीडियो में। अल्लाह हाफिज़। थैंक यू वेरी मच फॉर बीइंग विद मी।